Yeah, what's up? This disciple Marshall Occurrence reign back up in this anti-Illuminati all day, anti-Freemason all day, anti-cop all day, anti-Satan all day, anti-America all day, anti-gangstalker all day, anti-telepath and witch and warlock all day, anti-witch all day, anti-warlock all day. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So this video is going to be the conclusion, basically, of my ex-wife not receiving the child support money. So I told you what happened. I put myself on child support. She did not receive the money. See, people need to know this because this puts me a grade up above all these so-called men that's playing with me. You know what I mean? Like me and you in the same grade. We're not in the same grade, buddy. Okay? I put myself on child support. I've been married. I've been a married man. Okay? With my own place to stay more than one time. Driving, driver licenses, and everything. See, this needs to be, they need to know this. This need to be quoted. I'm the only one can tell you. So, I put myself on child support, like I said, and my ex-wife did not take the money. I got papers from the state of Florida stating this information. When I finally talked to her, her bogus excuse was she had something to do. You had something to do for 30 days? Now you're tripping. Now you're insulting my intelligence. You had something to do for 30 days. And most women could get away with, I don't care what job you at. You could have just got a job. And I guarantee you, most employers if you tell them you're going to file paperwork concerning child support, you could have just got hired. And I guarantee you, they're going to sympathize with that. What it's going to take it's not going to take a week to file this paperwork. It's going to take one day. It's going to take one day. You don't think no employer is going to sympathize with that? You're going to file child support, get child support money for your child, and you let them know how old the child is. In infant stage, you don't think they're going to let you go get child support money? Of course they would. They would beat themselves up if they let you go because you had to go file paperwork for child support. So there is no excuse. Not for 30 days. No, not for 30 days. That's bogus. Even if you was going to school, even if you were going to school, in the process, if you was in college, in the process, which she wasn't, I don't think, she wasn't. Not by that time. No. She was not going to school. No. She was just working at this point. So she was just working. She was not going to any classes. At the last place I lived with her at, she was just working at our last apartment. She was not going to college at our last apartment. So she didn't start back going. Nope, she didn't start back going. So that being said, it wasn't like you had to go to school where you had to keep these class dates. Wasn't that? And like I said, most employers would sympathize that you have to go get child support money. It's a serious term, ain't it? Ask these women out here. Child support money is a serious term. It's a no-gain term, ain't it? Ow. That's for the women. Ow. They can tell you child support money that term is no laughing matter, my friend. So I put myself on child support. You know how many women in my corner based on that? Just alone. Don't need to hear nothing else. People break up all the time for all different various reasons. The fact that I was man enough to put myself on child support when it all fell apart, most women are going to be on my side hands down. Yeah. Yes, sir. So after that, let me tell you what happened after that. So as she was leaving my last apartment that we had together, which was one of the darkest days of my life, she took all the stuff out the house, I mean, everything, the furniture, the food, everything, right? She left me with nothing. And here's the punchline. Wasn't even no real argument, wasn't even no real big fight or scuffle or nothing. Nothing. I don't even remember nothing really bad being said. At the very day she left. At the very day she left. Anyway, she takes all the stuff out. Her mom's husband, which is her stepdad, has a pickup truck, and he comes and picks up all the stuff. Right? Back and forth getting the stuff, her mom slips me $20. That's how bad she felt for me. Her mom slips me $20, say, hurry up, take this money before they come back. That's how bad she felt for me. So it wasn't her mom pushing this agenda. It wasn't her stepdad. He was cool. I met him before I met all of them at the Christian shelter. She takes all the stuff out and wants to take my son. And like I said, this cop came. They said they was going to call the cops. I said, hey, call the cops. Go ahead, call them. You ain't taking my son out of this established house so you can go run over your dad and live trifling. Okay? That's a trifling woman's move. You're going to leave an established place for your son, your child, to a whole apartment, fresh, a good neighborhood, by a mall and a major college in the city. It was by USF, in the USF area in Tampa, Florida. Over by the mall. That's where it was at. So it was a nice, safe area, too, on top of that. We had all the eateries around, very resourceful place. The bus terminal was right down the street, just in case she didn't have transportation. But we had a car in between us. It was nothing. It was no reason substantial enough. Nevertheless, she left. She just wanted to take my son. I said, no, you're not taking Marshall. She's like, well, her mom is there. She's like, well, we gonna call the police. I said, okay, go ahead, call the police. Go ahead. I'll sit here right here and wait. So the police came in. Black cop, I guess because we were black, they brought a black cop to bring peace, reconciliation, understand relation to the situation. And he was about 6'3", 250 pounds. Bald-headed, dark-skinned black cop. So he comes in, he hears the information, and he says, well, unfortunately, her being the caretaker. I know he felt me, though, because I got a place to stay for this child. But he told me, based on her being the caretaker, she has rights to take the child between me and her. That's what he told me. That's what the cop told me. See, I done been through real man stuff, where I can look the cops straight in their face. That kind of stuff. That's why I walk the way I do. I can explain mine. Cops know my integrity. Where I've tried to hold on to my son when some of these dirty butt guys out here are running from their children. They had to call the police on me to take my son away from me. That's how my son was taken from me, by the police. You got that? And then after that, I put myself on child support. That's what real men do. So don't ever question my manhood. Don't you ever, with your little heart, doubt my manhood. Don't your little heart ever doubt my manhood. That's why I am the way I am. I don't take no mess. Papa don't take no mess. Papa don't take no mess. Okay? I put myself on child support. After that, she didn't take the money. I got papers proving that, filed with the state of Florida. Florida sent those papers to me, concluding that she did not do what was necessary. She did not do what was necessary to get the child support payments. Okay? So after that, she took my son. The cop said, she has the rights to take my son. But like I said, I know he felt me. If I was a little older, I could have spoke to him, because I was in my 20s, when I was 26. I was still young, and if I was older, I would have been able to articulate that situation a little better. But still, technically speaking, it would have been nothing I could have said. He would have sympathized with me more and probably tried to talk some sense into her more in that situation. But technically, it would have been nothing I could do either way. But he would have felt me if I would have told him, yeah, she's going over her dad's house. I probably did say that. I'm pretty sure I think I did. I explained she wants to go over her dad's house with my son, and we got a place to stay here. So that's how it happened. Now, here's the punchline. After she took all the stuff out the house, that was in the afternoon, probably like between 5 and 7. How about 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning, she come knocking on my door. Knocking on my door 1 o'clock the next morning. After her mom got all that stuff out the house, her mom was mad. She was like, I ain't helping y'all no more. They had to get all the stuff. She had to get all her stuff the next day, not next week, not next month, not next year. Less than 24 hours, she was knocking on the door. That same night before, when the sun set, the sun did not come up before she was knocking on my door. Again, she got all her stuff between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. Between 12 and 2 o'clock in the morning, she was knocking on my door that type of night, asking her to come back. And she came back. So how could I be doing something so bad where you make a decision less than 24 hours after getting all your stuff by pickup truck now? You should even have enough dignity for you. Any average person would have just had, even if they wanted to come back, would have had enough dignity to not come back the same day. She came back knocking on the door 1 o'clock the next morning. You can't make this up, man. 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock p.m., she got the stuff. By 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, she was knocking on the door to come back. See, that's what I went through. And that was one of the darkest nights of my life. And then she came back. I had nothing but a radio. I remember. I had nothing but a little radio. Nothing. No bed, no nothing. All of it gone. All of it. And it was just me. So my son was gone, all my stuff gone, everything. So this explains why I have a no foolishness policy that I run now. You think a man like that is taking some mess off a woman? Keep it 100. Listen to my story. Do I look like a man that's taking something off a woman? I done put myself on child support, been through 2 apartments with a woman, could have destroyed my credit. Both had a life. I had a life. Like I tell people, I had a life. You know how people say, get a life? I had a life. I was driving, had a driver's license, working, an apartment to live in. That's a life. A son too. And a wife. That's a life. So I'm not some new buck, some new guy, some new jack to life. That's what you got to understand. That's how you have to approach me. Yeah. I don't play no games. Do you think I would be playing games years later? Listen, man, you can't be serious. Excuse me. So that's what happened. That's the conclusion of the situation. Oh, now, the guy I was telling you about that was such a big problem in the relationship. You remember I was telling you about that guy she went to see behind my back while I was living with her dad. When I first met her, she convinced her dad, just in case you didn't watch the other video, she convinced her dad to let me stay with her, which she was living with him. Now, he's ex-military. He served in the Navy. He served in the Navy. Okay, so a person like that they can see good or bad. They can see a person for who they are, right? So both of her parents were military. My ex-wife is a military brat. That's what they call her. And boy, was she a brat. Had the brat part, right? Tell you that. So she was a what they call either a base kid or a military brat. So this shows you what kind of people I was around. I was around my in-laws were both military. Now I realize this. Both of my in-laws, not just the dad, the mom and the dad, both of my in-laws were military. That's why I be tripping off people that think you got some extra eyes to see something to me that other people, and like as if I haven't been screened yet by the community in the world. Look, buddy, I've been past the smell test long time ago. Long time ago, buddy. I've been past the smell test, buddy. I don't need you to put me through any smell tests. Okay? Like I said, both of my in-laws were ex-military. Now, I figure she served in the Navy too, because that's how they met. So, 2 ex-Navy military service members. Okay? Now, I figured that her dad let me live with him because he had just started living back with his daughter and he was making up lost time. She was already an adult, obviously, and he just wanted to spend some more quality time with her. So, and I also believe he seen him being ex-Navy. He seen I was a good guy. And here's the punchline. He was when we got married, he was so confident in my walk with God that when me and her start sleeping in the same bed, we just start sleeping in the same bed. At first, I slept in the front room out of honor. You know what I'm saying? And when I first moved in with her dad, I didn't go jump in the bed and start, And so I slept there until we got married, like April of that year. Okay, this is now up to 2004. April 2004, April 19th, 2004 is when I got married. Oh, ow. So up until April, I moved in, I would say about, I don't know, February, March. We got married within a month, 2 months or so. It was about that because it wasn't January. It's between February and March. And by April, we were married because that's the honorable thing to do. So that's what forced me really into marrying her, because then I was living with her and, she was my girlfriend. So, of course, you're going to want to have sex. I mean, yeah, okay. So we decided to do the honorable thing, but we did like Selena did with Chris Perez. We got married behind her dad's back, right? But he came to me like a military man would. And he said he trusted my integrity so much because he already knew I was a Christian. He heard he heard all what I believed. Me and him spent quality time talking about the Lord. Way before that day. Remind you, I had been there for weeks and weeks. So he was solidly confident in my walk with God. So he came to me, he said, "When did y'all get married?" That's all he asked me. He ain't say nothing but that sentence. "When did y'all get married?" And I told him, well, we got married in April 19th. You know how a young guy would say it. April 19th. And so he was still cool. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure he was happy that I went about it that way. At the end of the day, this is somebody that chose to not just have sex with you and have children with you, but decided to be with you. Okay? Now, like I said, while we was living there, married already now, we already married at this point. She goes behind my back while we were married and goes and sees some guy that we had placed off limits concerning our relationship. And here's the worst part. It wasn't like, oh, I don't know how it happened. I don't know how it happened. I can't tell you how it happened. So she seen him on her routine. That's how it started. Somewhere on her way to work or after work, she seen him somewhere at the library, somewhere in her neighborhood or somewhere in the area. That's what she told me. So we had, like I said, we had already established this relationship was off limits. That's what we established, right? So with that already being established, she seen him on her routine and decided to go see him. So this is what she do. She plugs up an old phone, one of those big Nokia phones. One of those big, this is 2004, but it's a easily 2002, 2003 phone. Okay? She plugs that up. I noticed that, but I didn't question it. I think the Lord was showing me. The Lord was showing me then. So I seen the phone on the nightstand, and I didn't question it. I didn't ask any questions. So the next day, she goes to work. When she gets off of work, she comes home and tells me she don't think we're going to make it. She kisses me and says she don't think we're going to make it. Okay? And so she leaves after she buys new clothes from the mall. Remind you, we living with her dad. She buys new clothes from the mall while we're living with her dad, while we're married and living with her dad. She buys a new outfit from the mall. Anybody who shops know mall outfits are a little more expensive. Okay? She goes and buys jeans from the mall, a new pair of jeans, and a new kind of collar shirt. A collar shirt. She comes home, put on new clothes from the mall, take a shower, put on new clothes from the mall, and kisses me and says she don't think we're gonna make it. While I'm living with her dad. Now she goes and she comes back like that evening, probably right as the sun went down. I think about that. So she tells me the whole thing. She tells me she goes over this guy's house, and I already knew his name. His name was Milo. She went over his house, and she was assuring me, he's not like you. You know, he's nothing like you. But this doesn't make me feel any better. It's like, okay, if he's nothing like me, then why are you with him then? He's nothing like you, you know, and all this, right? So she did what was the most trifling thing about it is she did it while I was living with her dad. It'd be one thing if she was living on my terms, I was living on her terms, or we were living together on our terms. I'm there with her dad, not my dad, while she's going to see some guy. I'm with her family, living with her family. That's what made it most trifling. So I stayed remind you, this woman is not some crazy person, some dinky crazy person. She's college educated. She's smart enough to go to college, and she works at Coca-Cola at the time, Coca-Cola customer service, which requires, a certain amount of wit, thoughtfulness, accuracy, mental accuracy. She's taking orders for vendors for Coca-Cola. You got to be on point. They're either calling in about complaints or orders are being placed. Something to that degree, but these are vendors. These are not everyday people. These are vendors all across the country. All in the state of Florida, I guess, and all around Tampa, I guess. Now, so that ain't no crazy person. You're talking to sound-minded people. Yeah. You're talking to sound-minded people all day that reason properly. Yeah. Okay, if you work in customer service at Coca-Cola with vendors, you're not talking to a whole bunch of crazy people, are you? I mean, come on. So that's the smoking gun right there. And she went to school for business administration. She was just a brat. She was a brat that wanted everything too quickly and couldn't appreciate what she had in front of her. We had apartments together. We both were working. We had a newborn son before we broke up the final time. She just couldn't, she wanted everything now. She wanted to start a business now. And now she sees that's not realistic, but it's a little too late. So she went behind my back while we was living with her dad and seen this guy that we had off limits. That's what made it trifling too. So after that, I leave. I decide to leave. Like I said, with her being with this guy, I go back to North Carolina, go get my GED because I got thrown out of high school for pulling the weapon on a guy. So I could not go back. Okay. I was not suspended. What is the other thing called? Basically, it's after suspension. So I had to go to a whole nother school with bad kids, all bad kids. That's what happened after high school. I was kicked out because of pulling the weapon on somebody. So that shows you, that's what my enemies don't know. That shows you what kind of guy I am. From a kid, from high school, I was pulling weapons on people. Punks don't do that, bro. Suckers don't do that. That's how I left high school, and I was never able to go back and graduate because I pulled a weapon on somebody. Okay? So from there, I never went back. I finished 1 year of school at what we call Street Academy, where it was all bad kids. I finished 1 year there, and that was the end. So then I went to, like I said, when me and my wife split up after she went and seen this guy, I left living with her dad, and I went back to North Carolina, got me a job, got me another job, and got my GED, just in case if I wanted to go to college. If I wanted to do something else. It was just good to have in my resume. Just like, my dad kind of taught me into that too. It's just good to get it. So I did. I did it in my own time, and I did it when I wanted to do it. And I taught myself all the information. I went to all the classes. Oh boy, I went to all those classes. Went to the morning classes, which, those are the worst. And you got to do all that math, all that stuff that you forgot about years ago. And then that's where they place you after, after they see where you at, then that determines what kind of work you will have. So then I went through that. Then I went through the final test, aced all the tests, and got my GED. So that was after I left her. I was doing all of this back home in North Carolina. So I always bettered myself. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I just went somewhere and died. I've just never been built like that. If it don't work out, it don't work out. Hey, I'm gonna still be productive. I'm productive right now. You just don't know what I'm doing. Ow. Oh, whoa. So after the marriage, she tells me, after the marriage is said and done, I divorced her. She said also, well, it's no need for us to get a divorce because we're going to just be back together. Like, you crazy. No, I'm not. If I divorce you, it's over. She has some family member that divorced her, that divorced whoever they was with, and they got back together. That's a beautiful story, but that's not the average story. Okay? So I divorced her, and I just never went back. Okay? And probably because after the divorce, 1 year I went down to see my son for his birthday. My ex-girlfriend, she financed the whole trip. It was like over to $1,000 trip. And my girlfriend had money and a car, and she just wanted me to see my son. So she financed the whole trip. So I go down, and before I got there, me and my girlfriend was talking. She was like, "You're going to have sex with your wife?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." She's like, "You're going to have sex with your ex-wife?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." She's like, "That's your wife." I'm like, I'm not having sex with her. But we wind up having sex. And, because she just took her pants off and jumped in the bed. This was somebody I was married to. She just jumped in the bed, took her pants off. Literally dropped them off and jumped in the bed. So that's how it happened. I went to see my son for his birthday, and, he was always glad to see me. I got toys for him, blew up balloons for him, set up it was a motel because I wasn't living down there. So I set up a motel of like a birthday, with the balloons and the toys in his age bracket. So it was a beautiful affair based on me seeing my son for his birthday. And the girlfriend I had was very decent enough to pay for all of it. And but down there, while we're down there talking, this is after the divorce. I've totally divorced her. My divorce went through July 8th, 2008. So she's totally divorced. This is 2010. She's officially divorced July 8th, 2018. Okay? So, um, she tells me while we're just having pillow talk, well, I had sex with that guy Milo. Now that's the guy that she went behind my back and seen while we were living with her dad. While we were living with her dad, that guy that was off limits that I was aware of. After the divorce, she had sex with him. And she tells me all about it. Now, this is after the divorce, but still, how would you feel though? Okay, you just couldn't stop till you had sex with this guy, right? I mean, really. Okay, he's already been a problem in your relationship to the point where your husband left you. So after the divorce, you had sex with him because it was a catalyst for why I even went back to North Carolina. It was a big part of it. Even though we had kind of made up or whatever. It was part of it. Why, it was still, I probably still felt some type of way, felt like things haven't changed, Yeah. So she had sex with this guy after the relationship. And then she tells me, well, it wasn't so good. It wasn't good or nothing like that. I don't care. This guy, the guy that was a problem in the relationship still penetrated you. You know what I'm saying? That I knew of. I never seen him, but I knew of him and heard enough information for him to be off limits. She tells me, well, it wasn't that good and all of this and all that. I don't care how it was. He got to sample it. That's all I'm talking about. Of course he ain't gonna be probably as good as me. I mean, you don't find this every day. Not with all the other goods, the spirituality, the everything else, the caliber of thinking and all of that other good stuff. Nah, you don't find that every day. That's attached to it. Ow. Okay, so. Yeah. That's what happened. So. And this is also after she didn't take the money. This is also after I put myself on child support. But my son loves me. My son loves me. He said, Dad, I'm gonna come find you. That's what my son told me. My son said, Dad, I'm gonna come find you. My son loves me. So, because he knows me as a good time, the last time he saw me literally was for his birthday. So he knows me as a good time, I emailed him and talked to him. Now she also is the one that cut off communication between me and my son. We were talking just fine. And it was because my mom, and it wasn't, she was innocently doing it. She just meant well. She was wanting to send him some Christmas gifts, right? She had this music piano that she wanted to send him. So she kept talking about it with my ex-wife because they talk on the phone on their own. So she kept saying, oh, I want to send him this piano. And sometimes my mom, she'll mean well, but she might not do something that she wants to do. So in this case, that's what it was. And how my ex-wife is that if you're like that, she's going to have a no tolerance for it. So she was just like, well, I'm going to cut off communication. Remind you, I hadn't promised any gifts because I really wasn't in the position to do it. I wasn't at that time. This was like, 2017? Yeah, so it's been 5 years since I actually even communicated with my son because of her. Okay? Okay, um, so we were talking good during almost up to the holidays, I guess around 2017, and she told me that she was cutting off our communication. Yeah, it was the Christmas of 2017. It had to be. And she cut off communication saying that she, because she didn't want us to promise him gifts and not give it to him, right? Remind you, I promised not one gift that I was going to do in any way. I didn't promise any gift. It was my mom promising a piano, a keyboard, an electric keyboard that she wanted him to have. You know what I mean? And she just must have sensed that she wasn't going to do it. Either way it went, that's what was the catalyst for her cutting off communication. So I don't blame my mom, and me and my mom have talked about it, but that's what it was. So so after Christmas, I'm like, when me and Marshall are gonna talk again? So I want to talk to my son again. She talking about, well, when I feel, basically, in essence, I forgot the actual wording she used. But however she worded it, basically she was talking about, well, whenever I feel, with my discretion. And before that, we were talking normally. We were talking about, I was telling him to obey his mom. We was talking about everything. Perfectly normal. And I was telling him about Jesus Christ, how I'm a Christian, everything. And she cut it off because of promising gifts. And then after that, the top of 2018, she decided she did nothing. After that, she just was like, well, no, I'm not gonna with my discretion, you'll be talking back to him. And I guess it was because me and her didn't talk so much and she wanted us to talk more consistently. I think that's what it was. She was like a college, suburban, bratty kind of girl. Now you get the idea? Suburban, bratty, college girl. You know the type. Bitter, well, can be bitter. Venomous is the better word. Venomous. And so that's what I had to deal with. And like I said, my son loves me. And he said, Dad, I'm going to come find you. That's what he told me. So he's 16 now. So it's just 2 more years. That's why I'm not stressing anything. It's no need to try to put up some grand fight now out of respect for my father-in-law that's been taking care of my son this whole time. It's no need for me to put up some grand fight now. And so out of respect for who's been taking care of him, foundationally, that's my reason. I'm not just going to snatch him away from people that's been taking care of him, people that have been loving him. That's just my style. You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm the biological father, I'm not going to just say, well, yeah, he's my son. Come on, son. That's not respectful for people that have been taking care of him, being there for him, so it just makes sense to me to wait 2 more years to where he's a man on into that time where he can come to me on his own, when he can make his own decisions based on all he's seen his mom do. Remind you, one time, she fought her stepmom right after Christmas in front of him. And he was crying, profusely in front of the cops, saying, Mama, don't do it. Mama, don't do it. They sent me a transcript of everything that happened. She doesn't know this. I know I have a transcript. The state of Florida sent me. I didn't ask for this information. They sent me this information when I was living with a guy down in Fort Lauderdale. So they sent me paperwork telling me that my son was crying and pleading for her to not fight and everything, and she was fighting her stepmom, and she in the transcript it also said that she told her dad and the cop that God was gonna kill them. Now, if she had threatened that cop directly, she would have been arrested for communicating threats. I'm not ignorant of the law, not the basic stuff, not the obvious stuff. So they just sent me all the paperwork. They sent me all the paperwork. And they found me by phone. That's how they found me first. And, and they just started going through the process of sending me paperwork, letting me know what was going on and everything like that. So that's my situation. So that people will really know, what my life is. I'm a real man. I put myself on child support. That's what real men do. Okay, just in case you think I'm some weirdo introvert man child, I'm gonna get you way up off that. Okay, I'm an extrovert actually. I'm from North Carolina. Here I am in New York. How much extroverted can I be? Just because I don't run around town all the time, I've already ran through New York. I've lived in Harlem. I've lived in East New York. I lived in off of Knickerbocker. I've lived in Staten Island. And now here I am in Queens. I've lived all around New York. So I've already enjoyed New York. For anybody that think they're depriving me, for the gang stalkers that think they are depriving me of New York, I'm like this basically because I've already enjoyed it. When you was not here, it was such a grand time. Yeah, I've already enjoyed New York, buddy. I lived in Harlem. I used to see the Apollo every day. Walking up and down Apollo Street over there by 125th and Lenox. I stayed on 126, right there on the Sylvia's block, where the restaurant Sylvia's at. I stayed on that same block, man. How much cooler can that be? I stayed on the same block as Sylvia's, right on the same block, right that same block. At 35 West, that shelter called 35 West. Yep. And then they got the deli at the other end of the block, on the right hand side. Yeah. I don't forget nothing. Now they got an Applebee's over there. I think it's still over there. Then they got the big park with a pool at and everything. Yeah. That big old huge park that everybody go to in Harlem, right there off 125th. Then they got the library, all the other little stuff. So then they got the Wendy's going in the other direction. Then you got the bridge, then you got Park Avenue all the way up, all the way down, actually, from uptown. So I stayed over there in that area, and I had no problems. That's why I'm telling people I've already passed the smell test, even with New York. So it's about you. It's not about New York, and it's about people who play with me here in New York. And New York wouldn't even have that. Not in the case where a man like me put myself on child support. And my ex-wife wouldn't even take the money, you know what I'm saying? And my son still loves me, talking about he gonna find me. You know what I'm saying? That's nobody to play with, bro. That's what makes you a sucker. You know what I'm saying? You can't be a real one playing with somebody like me. You a sucker, bro. That's all it is to it. I don't care what you're doing it for. I'm telling you, I got my own kid. Right? I'm shutting down all that mania, bewildered rabbit mania in your head. I have a son myself, sucker. What you talking about, kids, man? I seen my son born in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? You ain't talking nothing foreign to me or something too manly for me. You ain't talking nothing too manly for me, buddy. Yeah, I had my own life, had my own son, riding around, driving around town just like you. If you ain't did nothing, I ain't done. What you talk about? What else? What else? Yeah, I got a son in this world right now. And the foolishness that you're doing with gang stalking is depriving me of having a real good, real relationship with him right now. Yeah, ain't nobody up here crazy, bro. Only one crazy is you. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta fight. I gotta put the fire out there. Ain't fire with fire, but I gotta do what I gotta do. I gotta stop you from thinking you can see me. That's what I'm saying. This ain't my first apartment. I done had 2 other apartments in a better health, a more nicer place in Florida, where most of the New Yorkers want to live anyway. You think they want to live in this congested place? This shell of a place? New York is a shell of a place. It's a shell of what it used to be. It's nothing like it used to be. Even from the time that I came here. Even from the time that I came here, it is not the same city. Like I said, I lived in Harlem. I lived in Brooklyn. I lived off of Atlantic Avenue in the Armory Shelter. So I was all in that neighborhood, Nostrand and Fulton Street. I stayed over there. Right there with Marcy is right down the street at the end of the block. It used to be a Burger King down there. Now it's a TD Bank down there. Right there with Marcy and Fulton at. Yeah, I done lived around New York. You can't tell me about New York, man. And that's why you facing what you facing. I'm New York strong too, buddy. That's why you can't beat it. What, you thought I came up here? Look, man, how could I last this long if I ain't getting no kind of strength and juice from here? Lost your mind, man, playing with me. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you thought I just came here fresh off the cabbage truck. Go check my credentials. I might know some of your uncles and cousins and aunties in them. Yeah, I probably do. All the places I've been, I probably do know some of your family. Yeah. So that's my story, man. All that foolishness and buffoonery and all that foolishness, man. I'm telling you what it is. I ain't playing no cartoons. My son is a real child, and I have a child in the world. While you playing games, I have a child in the world. And not only that, he wants to be in my life. He said he gonna come find me. Now, it's one thing to have a child in the world, and it's another thing to have a child in the world that says he gonna come find you. This is what he told me. I should be telling him that. I should be telling him I'm gonna come find him. He telling me as a kid, Dad, I'm gonna come find you. That's what you playing with, bro. That's the reality, man. All that cartoon George Jetson stuff. We ain't talking about none of that psychological foolishness now. We talk about these real facts. Like me putting myself on child support. Like my son saying he gonna come find me. That tells you what kind of dad I am. So that's reality, right? Reality always trumps over games, bro. You've been watching too many movies. Oh, you've been watching the movies talk about turning the truth into turning lies into the truth. Yeah, that's what they've been watching, little cornballs. You've been watching movies talking about turning lies into the truth. How that's working out for you? When people see I put myself on child support, you think you're gonna turn the lies into the truth against that? You think they care about the lies you got going on? When I'm telling you I put myself on child support and the woman didn't take the money, that kind of man, and then still sent money? Yeah, I got to state my position, my real position. The one that got you dead. Well, now that they know this, they probably want you dead now, buddy. Well, I'm pretty sure they do, because ain't none of that other stuff holding up. This is a man that's been married and divorced, and he divorced the woman. That speaks volumes too. I divorced her. Okay? I had an apartment where we both were working, both of us, both driving, both having driver licenses. Can't say he's a man-child. Can't say he's a cripple. Can't say he's special needs. You can't ever say I'm special needs, buddy. Look, man, I know all the thoughts that you have. But I'm shutting that all down, bruh. I'm shutting it all down right now. All right now, sucker. I'm a grown man. I've been married. I got a kid in the world, and I took care of him even after most men wouldn't have. Well, a man put himself on child support and his ex-wife don't take the money. What he supposed to do after that? Most men, I would tell you about 30% of the men in America would say, hey, I'm being generous. I'll say at least 30%. I'll say 30%. You done put yourself on child support and the woman ain't taking the money. What you gonna do then? You don't even feel comfortable sending no money after that. Most men would not feel comfortable sending money to a woman that doesn't take child support payments. Think about it. Do you gonna send money after that? And that's gonna be most, and not to mention the suckers, that's gonna be more their excuse. I ain't sending nothing. I put myself on child support. I ain't sending a dime after that. And what could you say to the guy? What could you say to him? Hey, he went by the books and she didn't take the money. And I'm pretty sure she had 30 days to comply. And I still sent money. And sometimes I send cash money. Hundreds of dollars. I'm talking about Benjis. No broke down stuff. I'm sending Benjamins. Dropping it in the mail. Glad to drop it in the mail. And then I started sending money orders because everybody was like, you know how your people talk, people in the hood, you know, man, start sending money orders to get them, so you can have some receipts. So she might say, you ain't sent nothing. So I started sending money orders. Then I started talking to the dudes, the older dudes, the old heads at my job. The old heads telling me, man, you sending too much money. I was sending too much money. And she wasn't saying nothing. After she didn't take child support, I started sending too much money. More money than she would have got from child support. Crazy, right? And this is me working at the hospital. This is when I was working. I had a good job at the hospital. Benefits, 401k, and everything. See, I had a life, man. Twice. After that was after the divorce. After the divorce, I went back to North Carolina and started working at the hospital. The hospital benefits, I had 401k, everything. So that's where I was sending all the money from when I was working that job. I started sending cash money, and then everybody got on me about it. Was like, nah, man. She'll say, you ain't sent nothing. You need to get your receipts. So I started sending money orders. And then after that, people was telling me I was sending too much. That's what kind of support I was giving. I'm just letting you know. And even when I talked to my mom said it was too much. But technically speaking, it's never enough for a child. You feel me? I know it's a certain amount you're supposed to send. You know, but technically speaking, it's never enough. I mean, they can have money left over for savings. You can put in savings and everything. So that's what kind of man you playing with. That's what I'm trying to show you. That's what I'm showing you. Because see, people get crazy and they get absent-minded. Some people who know. They get absent-minded and get amnesia like you some man child that ain't never lived life or something. Like you some introverted guy laying around all day. Like you some introverted special needs guy laying around all day. And you got to let people know, bro. I'm 41 years old. I ain't no 21-year-old kid. I'm 9 years away from 50 years old. I'm almost 50 years old, buddy. I ain't playing no games. I know black don't crack. I know that's what got you messed up. How youthful I am. How youthful I look. Okay? That's because I have good genes. People will say, I'm South American, Asian, 4 different types of African, and English. That's my real blood. I went and did a DNA test. This is not some stuff handed down from my family. I did a DNA test. I'm 4 different types of African. One of those African ethnicities is the Maasai tribe, which is a very famous African warrior tribe. I'm from the Maasai tribe. just in case you doubt my African. And then I'm part English, which is the language that you all speak. You speak part of my ethnicity. Every white person is not English. I am English. Okay? I'm South American. For those who may feel like, you don't relate to a Latino or Hispanic, I'm part South American. Okay? From the Incan area, from the Incan ancestry, from the Incas, in South America. That would be indigenous Incans. And then I'm part Asian. Okay? So that explains why I look young. That explains why I look the way I do. But I am 41 years old. I am 41 years old. I am not some 21-year-old kid. And that's how I feel that you're treating me, like I'm some 21-year-old kid. My kid is 16 now. He's 5 years away from 21. Okay, buddy? Yeah, I'm not no kid. I trip off people when they act like I'm a boy, I'm a kid, like you a youngin'. I ain't no youngin'. So it's time for some respect. That's my punchline. It's time for some respect, man. And that's why I'm not trying to hear none of that other stuff that you older than me. I don't care if you're older than me. It's time to respect my age. How about that part? How about it's the time to respect my age part? I don't care about your age. I care about mine. And it's time to respect my age. How about that? How about that? Imagine men rolling around here bowing down to everybody else, but we don't care about my age, but I'll bow down to your age. What kind of man would I be? It's time to respect my age. When I'm almost 9 years away from 50 years old, when I'm supposed to give my respect 70, I ain't waiting to 70. I want mine now. And I'm going to get it now. You're going to give it now. Yeah, you're going to give it now. I promise you that. When I finish with you, you're going to give it now. Because I'm going to do it God's way and I'm going to get my respect.